In this video, I'm going to continue my discussion of Hume, but this time I'm going to be turning to the third section on the association of ideas. So what Hume is taking up explicitly in the third section is the ways in which we find ideas combined together associatively in the mind. This is going to be one half of the kinds of connections we find between ideas. Why? Well, with the Golden Mountain example, we found thought or imagination actively through an act of our will, putting together the complex idea Golden Mountain through by putting together the simpler ideas Golden and Mountain. The imagination was active, right? It put together the ideas through an act of will. But with the association of ideas, the mind is passive. And association brings one idea after another. There's succession, or a train of ideas in the mind. There's a series of them. They march out onto the stage and then pass away. And so in this way, there are two kinds of relations between ideas. And so one half of the connections we find between ideas are going to be active, and the other half are going to be passive, and the act will be passive. So there's a succession of ideas or a train of ideas in the mind. They come out in a series onto the stage of the mind and then pass away. And with these ideas, we don't put them into society with one another through an act of our will. Rather, so wholes out of more simple parts. Rather, our mind just moves from one idea to the next according to the laws or principles of association. And these principles are the ways in which one idea may introduce the next one in the series. The way one idea might usher another out onto the stage of the mind. And so these qualities produce an association of ideas where one idea naturally introduces another. These connections just happen and are not brought about actively through our will. And so insofar as they're not brought about actively through an act of our will, they may be regarded as a kind of natural force, something like the laws of attraction in the mental realm. And so Hume says that they are, quote, a gentle force which commonly prevails, but which can also easily be overridden. These principles of association, they're going to be laws a gentle force that can easily be overridden. And they're not like memories, where the connections between the ideas can't be overridden, right? I mean, if I'm remembering what I did last night, first writing lecture notes, then going out to dinner or whatever, right? Before the pandemic, or having dinner at home. If I didn't override those connections, than I would be remembering. But if I do override the connections, right? If I imagine that I went out to a restaurant, well, then I wouldn't be remembering, or at least I wouldn't be remembering correctly. But the associative relations between ideas, they can be easily overridden. And so one way to think about these relations is by way of analogy with the flow of a conversation or a movie. In conversations, we move from one topic to the next, and the topics may only be vaguely related, yet the conversation feels quite natural, right? Each topic flows into the next to the next, right? I mean, maybe maybe we're talking about your summer plans this summer and traveling, and how you're hoping that that things will be under control enough that you can go to Germany. And I wonder about a friend of mine that lives in Berlin, and I tell you about this friend of mine, and you tell me about a friend of yours that you're going to visit in Hamburg, and we start talking about when you're hoping to leave on your trip and all the places that you're going. And you get the idea. So Hume thinks the mind works the same way in creating its succession or series of ideas, its succession of associations between ideas. We move from one idea to the next, like we move in topics in a conversation.